thus God descended from the heavens above with 200 angels following behind him. His heavenly light was blinding everyone but that one person who was looking at him straight in the eyes. Then God took down one of the stars from the sky, rolled it into a brightly colored ball, and shoved it into the person's head. Then their mind got enlightened with thousands upon thousands of ideas and the promise of more to come. Then the clouds started gathering again, and God with all his angels ascended back to the heavens, and this person was destined to roam the land, bringing his greatest ideas to life. Now, if any of you associate this with how creative people got their creativity, I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you creativity, our default upgradable feature. Here we go. So, friends, Romans, countrymen, please lend me your ears, for I'm about to talk one of the most uncreative subjects you can think of, creativity itself. Now, I know it has been covered many, many times, but, well, I decided to take upon myself the challenge of making you look at it from a different angle. After this speech, I hope you will start thinking of it as not a gift from the heavens above, but as a skill to develop. So let's go. First, we have to define what creativity is. What creativity is. Now, since this is a TEDx speech, and I had to make myself look slightly less incompetent than I actually am, I will present to you a quote of a famous person. Now, I think we all know this guy. He's pretty well known, but I just don't seem to be able to remember his name. I think it was Steve Employment or something similar to that. But anyway, Mr. Employment here says that creativity is just connecting things. When you ask creative people how they did it, they feel a little guilty. Because they didn't really do it, they just saw something. It seemed obvious to them after a while. That's because they were able to connect experiences they had and synthesize new things. So now I ask you, the audience, what is creativity? Yeah, you're right there, yes? A man in the back, in a black Batman suit with a pink tutu. Okay, interesting. Yes, indeed, the answer is it's connecting things. So, and why is that? Why is that? Well, it's easy, really, because our mind simply cannot come up with something entirely new. It's like trying to imagine a new color. Try it. You fail miserably, in fact. So let's summarize things now. Creativity is just a game of connecting the dots. I'm going to be using this example throughout the speech, and I will deconstruct it. And we will also follow a pattern of me stating an idea, explaining it, and then summarizing it so that it's all organized and clear for everyone. So let's go. First question, what are the dots in the game of connecting the dots? Well, first we have to go through how an idea is formed in our mind. So we already made it clear that an idea is just, creativity is just an act of connecting things. Now we need the building material for that. The cement, the building material, is knowledge. You can't connect things you don't know about. So first we have to gather the knowledge. So basically the dots are pieces of knowledge stored in our mind. Here's an example. Imagine young Dr. Frankenstein, and he has a drinking problem. One of his drink-out nights, he comes up with an idea. He wants to create a ballet troupe, right? For this, he will need a set of finest body parts, which he will stew together to create the most twisted ballet troupe of all time. Now, how am I going to connect this to my speech? Through the power of creativity, of course. So think of it this way. A body part is a piece of knowledge. And when you sew all of them together, you get a broader understanding of subjects, aka a ballerina. Once you make a couple of more of these, you will get a full troupe. Now, this performance of theirs is the result of all of them moving, dancing, interacting with each other harmoniously. Now, this performance is the idea. It is all the knowledge gathered and accumulated together, interacting and functioning as a whole. So, basically, in the end, you can say that an idea is just Frankenstein ballerinas dancing. Yeah, have you noticed that? I actually connected totally absurd things together with the creativity, nothing else. I hope it all makes sense. So anyway, now moving on. What are the lines? What are the lines? Well, it's a simpler matter. You don't need any absurd examples for that. Lines are just the connections you make, the string with which our dear doctor created his twisted troop. And finally, pen and paper. Now, the paper is the world, the existence itself upon which everything else is formed. And the pencil is you, both figuratively or literally. You create the mind around you with your eyes perceiving it, that's one, and with your mind imagining and understanding it, that's two. So, just not to get off the track, let's summarize everything we've said. Creativity is just a game of connecting the dots where the dots are pieces of knowledge stored in your brain, the lines are the connections that you make, pencil is you, both figuratively and literally, and the paper, the world. Now let's move to the juiciest part of the speech, where I explain how we can utilize this knowledge to actually put it to practice. So first of all, we have to make sure that we have a piece of paper and a pencil. You will have to answer these questions. Do you exist? Do you have a brain? Now, for all the zombies out there, sorry, mate, you're out. But if you answered yes to all these questions, congratulations. You not only have the ability to connect the dots, but also have a pencil to do so. Now, when it comes to dots, there is no easy way around it. You have to learn some stuff. Read books, watch educational YouTube videos, and talk to people. This makes it obvious how essential education, in fact, is. You see, well, when you lack any kind of knowledge in any of the fields, this makes you lose many opportunities to come up with ideas, to connect things. Well, this explains why most of great creative thinkers were well-educated people. Not because they were the chosen ones, but just because they had the material to come up with their great ideas. And finally, we have lines. Now, lines is where the magic happens, the connecting, the summarizing it all together. But this part is where most people get stuck. So you say, okay, Mariam, I read all the books, a ton of books. I watched all the educational videos on the internet and talked to intelligent people, but I still can't come up with an idea, with a solution. Well, you see, here's the thing. First, we have to make sure that we actually have a goal. An idea doesn't come out of the blue. There has to be a reason for it. For example, people created many things out of laziness, like the wheel. Our dear Mr. Frankenstein created his terrible creature due to his ambition to overcome nature itself. So once we understand why we're doing this, then we have to start actually working to get the solution. The idea won't just appear out of nowhere, no matter how long you stare at the wall thinking about it. No, the idea is something that you have to achieve. So imagine your mind is some sort of a computer with additional needs. But before we start utilizing this computer of ours, we have to know how it works. We have to understand. So for that, I'm going to remember a wonderful book by Mr. Daniel Kahneman here, which I recommend immensely to everyone, Thinking Fast and Slow. So Daniel here tells us, among other things, that when a person thinks, he uses or she uses a ton of energy, most of which isn't even used on finding the solution. No, it's wasted on self-control. It's wasted. See the graph right over here. It's wasted. So you might find it hard to focus. It's because you're mentally depleted, and trying harder won't help in any way. So, okay, you told us all this interesting facts, but how we can use it For ourselves, you may ask. Well, I'm getting to the main point finally. So, my dear audience, the answer to the question of how we can effectively connect the dots, be creative, is to chill. What? To chill, you say? Yes, to chill. To have a walk, paint, have a calm car ride, whatever puts you at ease. Why? Well, Daniel Kahneman tells us here that there's a state of flow which exists. And a state of flow, people who have experienced it describe it as a state of effortless thinking where a person is in such a deep concentration that they lose their sense of time, their sense of their problems and the world around them. During this thinking, no energy is used on concentration, and whatever's left is directed to the task at hand. So during this effortless thinking, my dear friends, is when during this thinking you can finally be able to finish that train of thought which you have had without getting too exhausted. So finally, the summary is that well, really, there's nothing much to do. You just have to calm yourself down and enjoy your time. It has been often observed that people have had this moment of eureka when they were doing something entirely else. Albert Einstein got his idea for his magnum opus, aka the theory of relativity, when he was working on his patent. Daniel Kahneman himself admitted that he's got one of his greatest ideas when he was taking a walk or a stroll. So let's summarize everything that we've said, so that maybe, just maybe, when you remember this, you get blessed by the dot connecting theory. So let's see. First of all, what you have to do is locate the problem. Understand what you're trying to be creative for in the first place. Now, the second part is to discover the dots. Take in new skills and information. Always do that. It's a style of life, really. Now, think about it for a while. Get into your system, so to speak. You have to make it clear to yourself that you're actually trying to solve it. Discover what puts you into a state of flow. Now, some people already might know this, but it's essential. So you always have to keep exploring at what puts you to ease. Now, next is get into this state. And finally, let the mind wander. It's not guaranteed that you'll get to the answer straight off the bat. Now, it's a matter of training, really. You have to think about it again and again. You have to train yourself to connect the different dots again and again, because practice makes perfect. Because, well, if this method walked straight off the bat, people would have been using this for centuries. Now, it's just for the development of your skills. Now, that's it, really. Nothing else to say. So, or maybe a little too much to say. I really want to get into the deeper philosophies of the ideas. I want to discuss other things as well, but the time limit won't allow it. So, creativity is just a game of connect the dots, constantly take in new information and develop yourself. And lastly, chill. Thank you for listening.